My name is Jerry LaMartina. Been a journalist more than 30 years. This is about the Missouri State Public Defender's Holistic Defense Services Program. The essential idea of it is that they are seeking to provide people who are at any point in the criminal justice system, whether they're awaiting sentencing or they've been sentenced and they're in prison. It tries to help them get basic social services that they often lack. And really key among them is finding housing, getting a range of mental health or substance abuse treatment or both if necessary, and more routine things like getting their identification back when they're getting out of jail so they can get an apartment or a new job. If they need to apply or reapply for disability benefits, they get assistance with that. Possibly apply for Medicaid if they need it. Those kinds of basic things to help them get back on their feet. The ultimate goal is for them to never return to the criminal justice system, just to re-enter society and become productive. It starts with public defenders, but they are helped by a team of other people, and that comprises social workers, recent college graduates, legal assistants, investigators. They're all trying to do their part to support the offender. And they're also trying to teach judges and prosecutors and the general public about this holistic program and its benefits. Anecdotally, I spoke to a woman named Aiden Bailey. She has completed the program, and by her description, she's gotten back on her feet. She's got a good job. She's in a steady relationship. She has a car again, a cell phone, some of those things we all take for granted. This program seemed to really help her refocus her life. And beyond that one individual story, the Missouri Public Service Defender's Office hired a company called Wellbeing and Equity Innovations, and they took an 18-month period of the program, and they sought to quantify the savings and the other positive effects. Their estimate is that this program saved the state $15.6 million overall. It cut the duration of offenders' incarceration time before trial and after they completed the program by what they estimated to be a combined total of more than 4,500 days. It reduced offenders' sentences by an average of 4 to 6 years. And they saw that it correlated with mitigating incarceration for probation violation cases, which saved another 1,100 plus days of jail time. I think less quantifiable, but in talking to associations of prosecutors and in particular a new judge who was a longtime prosecutor in Missouri, he saw the benefit. It was important to gather these services to help people get back on their feet. And he even said he began to see some changed minds among judges and other prosecutors about the value of taking the holistic approach. There's still a good deal of resistance among prosecutors and judges and legislators, some of whom any of these three categories of people might tend toward thinking, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. They have a more inflexible attitude toward crime and punishment in this case. But again, when it's demonstrated to them that there are tangible, measurable improvements from it, they become convinced, and then they become advocates of it. I think it makes sense for them to really closely study the Missouri State Public Defender's Program, get a good sense for how they approached it and how they executed. And then, as Annie Legomsky told me, she just advises them to just dive in and start it. Try to keep in mind what their own particular needs are in their jurisdictions, but just give it a shot. This program, what it requires is people in the system to be willing to step back and take a different view of the whole thing, of offenders committing crimes, facing the punishment and paying the price for their crimes, and just sort of leaving them to their own devices to get back on their feet. Just to step back and say, well, what if we were to put more resources toward helping them even early on in the criminal justice system? Help them get back on their feet so as they progress through their sentences, they've already tried to get their legs underneath them so that when the time comes, they can move back into, a functional situation outside of prison, just back as a regular member of society. That's the big message, I think, that comes through to me, is it takes a willingness to look at the whole problem from a different angle.
This story was produced through the Missouri Solutions Spotlight Project, which receives funding from Missouri Foundation for Health. Articles for this project were developed by regional journalists working independently of the foundation and supported by the staff of the Journal, a solutions-oriented nonprofit news outlet based at the Kansas Leadership Center. The foundation had no editorial involvement, including no control over the selection, focus of stories, or the editing process of Missouri Solutions Spotlight. Funders also do not review stories before publication.